Imagine spending 2 decades in a family where loyalty is expected, but respect is optional. And then one day you discover that everything you invested, your money, your time, your trust, has been quietly taken from you behind your back. And just when the cameras are rolling to capture your reaction, you realize this betrayal isn't just about land or money. It's about being used for entertainment. And one woman decides enough is enough. And in a moment that shocks the crew, the network, and millions of fans, she walks away, claiming her power and refusing to be silenced any longer. Janelle Brown never expected the day to unravel the way it did, because everything began like any normal filming session for the long-running reality series that had documented her life and choices for so many years. And yet, beneath the familiar rhythm, there was a strange tension that no one acknowledged, but everyone quietly sensed. And this tension grew heavier with each small moment until it finally exploded into one of the most shocking turning points the show had ever captured. And once the pieces began falling, there was no stopping the momentum that was pulling everything toward a truth that had been hidden for far too long. Because what unfolded that day did not begin with anger or chaos, but with a soft, quiet uneasiness among the crew as they prepared the cameras and adjusted the lights, wondering whether the information they were holding would ignite a reaction that would shake the room, but also secretly hoping it would, because in the world of television, dramatic moments are currency, and impact matters more than comfort. And that is exactly why the producers decided to move forward with the plan that would alter the future of the show and of Janelle herself, because they believed this was the kind of reveal that would keep viewers glued to the screen. Yet they underestimated the woman they were about to ambush. Since Janelle had endured years of emotional strain, family conflict, and repeated disappointment with an unwavering calm and an ability to stay logical even during the most painful situations. And this strength was something the producers had grown accustomed to, something they relied on, something they believed would hold up no matter what bomb they dropped that day. But they were wrong, because the truth they carried was not a storyline or a simple update, but a deeply personal betrayal affecting her stability, her finances, and her future. Something that went far beyond the world of confessionals and controlled narratives. And as they sat across from her, ready to deliver it, they failed to realize that they were not setting up a dramatic moment. They were stepping directly onto the final fracture of a foundation that had been cracking for years. And when the first words left their lips, nothing could have prepared them for the silence that filled the room afterward. Because silence is heavy. Silence is revealing. Silence is the space where truth lands and rearranges everything around it. And that is exactly what happened when Janelle heard that decisions regarding her portion of Coyote Pass had been made without her involvement. Decisions she believed were grounded in family trust, fairness, and collaboration, but were instead shaped behind closed doors by people she had depended on for decades. And as the details unfolded, the shock settled into something deeper, something sharper, something that transformed her entire expression from calm patience into cold, unmistakable resolve. Because this was not just a misunderstanding, this was not a miscommunication, this was a direct violation of the principles she had built her life around. And the producers, expecting tears or confusion, were stunned in stillness as she lifted her head and looked at them with a clarity they had never witnessed from her before. And in that moment, the entire energy of the room shifted, since Janelle was no longer responding as a cast member following the structure of a segment. She was responding as a woman who had reached her emotional limit and recognized that the people around her were no longer protecting her, but exploiting her for the sake of dramatic effect. And she refused to continue giving pieces of herself to a system that did not value honesty or respect. And that refusal changed everything. Because once she realized that the reveal had been planned specifically to provoke her, to capture her shock, to use her pain for entertainment, she made a decision that no one on set had ever expected from the most composed member of the family. She decided to stand up for herself in a way that could not be undone. And while the crew watched, unsure whether to continue filming or to cut the cameras, Janelle calmly rose from her chair, her expression unwavering, her voice steady yet carrying a force that left no room for argument. And with a simple instruction, she halted production entirely, sending the entire set into stunned chaos, as she took control of a moment that had been designed to break her and redirected it into a moment that revealed her strength and her refusal to be manipulated. Because for years she had held the family together with patience, understanding, and compromise, sacrificing her own needs and hopes in the process. But the revelation that her financial investment had been handled in secrecy for the benefit of others was the final turning point that pushed her past the threshold of endurance and into a space where she recognized that her silence was no longer protecting peace, it was enabling injustice. And when she took off her microphone and placed it into the hands of a nearby crew member, the symbolism of that act reverberated through the room louder than any confrontation could have. Because it was the first time she chose to step away instead of carry the burden. The first time she put herself above the expectations placed on her. The first time she prioritized her dignity above the dynamics of a family that no longer treated her as an equal. And that decision did not stem from anger alone, but from years of quiet endurance, years of emotional imbalance, years of watching choices being made that favored one household over many, years of accepting explanations, promises, and repeated patterns that slowly eroded her trust and her belief that fairness still existed within the family structure she had committed to for so long. And as she walked out of the set, leaving behind a room full of stunned faces, she did not just walk out of that Packeme assembly, but she walked out of a life that no longer served her and toward a future that was filled with new possibilities and an opportunity to reclaim her identity. Producers scrambling to respond, she was not walking away from a scene. She was walking away from years of being overlooked and undervalued, stepping into a new understanding of her worth and refusing to allow anyone to dictate her narrative again. And the impact of her departure echoed through the entire production team, who suddenly realized that they had crossed a line that could not be blurred or defended, because ambushing someone with life-altering information for the sake of dramatic footage is not storytelling. It is a violation of trust. And Janelle's refusing to participate further was a message that resonated far beyond the walls of the filming set, reminding everyone watching that no one should be pushed to their breaking point for entertainment, and that resilience does not mean enduring endless disrespect, but knowing when to walk away and reclaim control of your story. And as the dust settled and the crew scrambled to determine what would happen next, the understanding became clear that the moment Janelle stood up was not just an interruption in filming, it was a turning point for the entire series. A shift that exposed the cracks in the structure that had held the show together, revealing truth that had long been hidden behind carefully edited scenes and familiar dialogue. And this moment would reshape the future in ways no one could have predicted. The second part of the story moves forward with an intensity that continues to build as every moment pushes the characters deeper into the emotional landscape they have been trying so hard to escape. And as the dust settles from everything that happened before, new layers of truth begin to rise to the surface, revealing motivations, fears, regrets, and unspoken desires that have shaped every decision made so far. And even though no one wants to admit it, the silence between them speaks louder than any confrontation could. And it becomes clear that time is running out for anyone who still believes they can outrun the consequences that have been waiting just beyond the edge of their awareness. The tension grows heavier, and every step feels weighted with the history they all share. Yet, the momentum does not stop. It only surges forward, drawing every person toward a moment they know is coming, even if they refuse to acknowledge it aloud. And while each person tries to hold on to their version of the truth, the walls around them begin to crumble, exposing vulnerabilities that can no longer be ignored. But even as the truth rises, fear rises with it, gripping the room and reminding everyone that once something is spoken, it cannot be taken back, which is why they find themselves dancing in circles, desperate to maintain control over a situation that is spiraling away from them faster than they can grasp. And as emotions heighten, memories begin surfacing, memories buried, memories avoided, memories that haunt the edges of consciousness. And while each memory carries pain, it also carries clarity, a reminder that the past is not separate from the present, no matter how hard they try to treat it like a closed chapter. And now the echoes of those memories weave into the air around them, creating a heavy atmosphere that demands resolution one way or another. But resolution never comes easily, especially when pride, guilt, and fear stand in the way. And pride is present everywhere, pushing some to defend choices they know were wrong, pushing others to retreat behind walls that were built long before this conflict. And as voices grow louder without a single word spoken, the emotional shift is undeniable because something deeper than anger is moving through the space, something that feels like resignation mixed with desperation, a dangerous blend that can either lead to healing or destruction. And every person in the room seems to sense that weight, even if they cannot articulate it. And though they wish the pressure would ease, it only tightens the longer they avoid what needs to be faced. Yet, despite the heaviness, something else begins to stir. Something small but undeniable. A recognition that maybe there is still a chance to move forward, though not without confronting everything that has been left unsaid. And this recognition fuels a new current of energy in the room, a current that cuts through the tension and demands acknowledgement one heartbeat at a time. Yet, even with this shift, no one moves, no one breathes too deeply, because change, no matter how necessary, is terrifying, and uncertainty grips them as fiercely as the memories clawing at their thoughts. But still, the story presses on, forcing everyone to confront truths they have kept hidden even from themselves. And while they stand on the edge of transformation, fear continues its push and pull, guiding them toward hesitation, even when every instinct urges them to speak up and break the cycle they have remained trapped in for far too long. And as emotions heighten, memories begin surfacing. Memories buried, memories avoided, memories that haunt the edges of consciousness. And while each memory carries pain, it also carries clarity, a reminder that the past is not separate from the present, no matter how hard they try to treat it like a closed chapter. And now the echoes of those memories weave into the air around them, creating a heavy atmosphere that demands resolution one way or another. But resolution never comes easily, especially when pride, guilt, and fear stand in the way. And pride is present everywhere, pushing some to defend choices they know were wrong, pushing others to retreat behind walls that were built long before this conflict. And as voices grow louder without a single word spoken, the emotional shift is undeniable because something deeper than anger is moving through the space, something that feels like resignation mixed with desperation, a dangerous blend that can either lead to healing or destruction. And every person in the room seems to sense that weight, even if they cannot articulate it. And though they wish the pressure would ease, it only tightens the longer they avoid what needs to be faced. Everything is fine will only spiral them into deeper chaos than they already face. And somewhere in that rising tension, a shift begins to settle over the room, pulling their focus inward and forcing each of them to confront the inner truths they have buried under years of fear, pride, and misunderstanding. And while each person processes this internal reckoning, the quiet becomes a living presence in the room, pressing against them, urging them forward until finally something breaks, not physically, but emotionally. A soft, barely perceptible crack within the armor each person has worn for so long. And from that tiny fracture, something raw and real emerges. Vulnerability, the very thing they have all tried to hide. And now that it has surfaced, it cannot be pushed back down, no matter how desperately they try. And as vulnerability spreads through the tension, it softens the atmosphere, just enough to allow hope to slip in quietly, subtly, almost invisibly. But it is there, growing, gaining strength, waiting for the moment when someone will be brave enough to take the first step and speak the truth lingering on their tongue. And though fear continues to grip them, something stronger begins to rise. The desire to break free from the cycles that have shaped their lives for so long. And this desire becomes the driving force behind every breath they take, weaving through the air with powerful intention, urging them toward the moment that will define everything that comes next, even though they may not yet realize it. And while doubt lingers and fear persists, momentum carries them toward the inevitable confrontation that has been building since the very beginning. Though whether that confrontation leads to healing or collapse remains uncertain, as the story continues its relentless forward motion, pulling everyone deeper into the truth they can no longer run from. And the closer they get, the harder it becomes to maintain the fragile composure they have clung to. Yet, even in the uncertainty, there's a strange